This is how I deal with electronics on the trail. It's mostly around the smartphone. It's a form of communication, GPS, pretty well everything in one little package. These little computers are pretty awesome, pretty indispensable now. You can use apps now, which are basically GPS, location. You can share information. You can tell people where you are. Sometimes I'll just take a screenshot and send that on to people. You can use them for weather. You can use them for weather advisories. Pretty well limitless what you can use them for. The only downside to the app is, of course, battery life. You have to be careful. I usually keep it in airplane mode to save batteries during the day and just connect to the antennas at night or check-in times, etc. There's a few things you can do to extend your life. Of course, airplane mode is one of them. Rotation apparently takes up a lot of battery life. You can disconnect your Bluetooth and your Apple or Google Pay, etc. That extends the life. You can make sure that apps and whatnot are turned off and not working in the background. Here I can run a maintenance check, and you can see there's probably a few things that are running in the background that shouldn't be. Battery saving mode, that's okay, but don't forget, if you're using your phone or your camera, that it may not work, and for some devices, like the app for the trail, airplane mode will disconnect the GPS, so you have to be careful about that. Try to get familiar with your phone as much as possible. Things like your camera, turning it quickly on. Voice commands are great too. Smile. And that takes a shot right there. So these are just things you can play with at home. You can get some accessories too. Here are just examples. A microphone that can be plugged in. This is a remote for taking pictures. This is a tiny set I put together of lenses. I tend not to bring too much, or maybe one or two things, or just as a luxury. Now, to charge up on the trail, there's different ways. Of course, when you stop somewhere, you can charge up your phone or connect to the internet, Wi-Fi, etc. Be really careful. This you would think would be the first choice. It's small. It's a single, but it may take forever to charge your device. This is a quick charge that came with the phone, and in about 45 minutes you can have a full charge, even less. So if you have multiple devices, this one here, they're bigger because these things are smarter inside. There's more electronics. Which brings me to cords. These devices get more and more sophisticated all the time. You can see this little cord here. I hadn't even taken the factory winding off it because I know it's junk. Just because it has a UPS or a USB symbol on it doesn't mean it's USB. USB is supposed to be a compliance, but a lot of these little junk cords, they won't do data. They won't even do a proper charge. These chargers are pretty sophisticated. They'll send data back and forth to your device, determine the strength, how fast they can take a charge, etc. And if they can't communicate over these wires, they won't do it. When you have a proper wire, it's more expensive to produce. You need shielding, you need all kinds of things, and quite frankly, these people don't give a darn and just put out this junk. So be careful, make sure you test your wire. This would be a proper wire here. Even though the length is long, don't forget when you're in a restaurant or sometimes you're not at your office, so make sure you can reach when you're on the trail. You can use batteries, battery banks they're called. This one I just use when I'm on a overnight, and it has indicators of how much charge. I usually do it at night as I make camp. This one happens to have even a light, and I'll leave my little light at home and just use this when I'm out for a short period. This is a bigger bank. I can do 3 or 4 charges with this on my phone, and my phone has a fairly big capacity. These things are rated in milliamps. If your battery is 3,000 milliamps, you can go 2 charges or 3 charges or whatever. This happens to be 6,700 milliamps. That's good enough for me. Again, these devices can be smart, and make sure you get one that doesn't take forever to charge. And the last thing, of course, is capacity. Make sure your phone is cleaned up before you leave. You'd hate to, lose all your pictures and whatnot. Some of the more up-end smartphones will have memory cards that you can put in. This is an older device. The solution I found was this little plug-in, and I can download my pictures and save. It's like 64 gigs or 32 gigs I have on this. When I get home, I can just there's a USB at the end, I just plug that into my PC, and just kind of a safeguard. And finally, it's getting easier and easier now that a lot of these devices are waterproof. But try to keep it simple. There's enough to do on the trail without getting frustrated over electronics. And I hope that that helped. Probably best off the young ones know more than I, but these are just little tips that I've learned along the way. Bye-bye now.